Have you ever looked at something you've seen many times before and suddenly saw it differently? Yan yung nangyari sa akin recently. I was home in the Philippines visiting my parents. Kami and sister ko, we were going through old things, old photos, old papers, old cards, memories that had quietly been sitting there for years. And then we came across something I had completely forgotten about. It's a drawing. Simple lang siya, nothing fancy. Pero the moment I looked at it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was called the Tree of Life. Many years ago, my parents created this tree. Yung each branch na yan represented something they hoped for. Some were dreams, some were goals, some were simply wishes for the future. Pero looking at it today, na-realize ko, they weren't dreaming about becoming rich. Hindi rin nila dinidream about luxury. They weren't dreaming about fame. The things written on those branches were surprisingly simple. Pamilya, stability, a home. The kind of things we often take for granted. These are the kind of things that don't seem exciting when you're young, but become everything when you get older. Alam niyo, the longer I stared at the tree, the more emotional it became. Hindi dahil sa mga nakasulat sa branches, but because I started thinking about everything it took to grow them. Yung years, yung sacrifices, the ordinary days nobody remembers. Kasi when we look at a life, we often see the results. Yung bahay na naipundar, the family, yung mga achievements and milestones. But we don't always see the work behind them. Yung worries, the setbacks, the prayers, the faith that kept them going when the future wasn't always clear. Looking at the tree, I realized it wasn't really a list of dreams. It's the story of a life that was slowly built over time. Yung one day at a time, one decision at a time, one sacrifice at a time. And siguro that's why most of those branches came true. Hindi dahil life was perfect, kundi dahil hindi sila sumuko. They just kept showing up, day after day, year after year, trusting that somehow things would work out. Until one day, yung mga pangarap na nasa papel, naging bahagi na ng totoong buhay. Pero kung titingnan nyo there was one branch that caught my attention. A beach house. Well, according to my mom, that was always part of the dream. And honestly, they got pretty close. They were able to buy a beach lot, but the summer house itself never quite happened. And when she told me that, I actually smiled. Because for a moment, I wasn't looking at my parents as parents. I was looking at them as dreamers. People who had plans, people who imagined the future. Just like the rest of us. And maybe that's why that branch became my favorite. Because it reminded me that a successful life isn't about completing every single dream. Sometimes life takes a different path. Di ba sabi nga nila, everything happens for a reason, di ba? Sometimes the dream changes. Sometimes getting close is enough. And sometimes the unfinished branches remind us that we're still growing. And even at 85 or 90 years old like my parents, meron pa ring mga dreams. Meron pa ring hopes. There are still things worth looking forward to.
You know what surprised me? Yung sinabi mo tungkol sa beach house. Diba parang iniisip ko na I didn't even think about what they didn't accomplish, but everything I thought was what they actually did. Tsaka mom and dad they were actually thinking about, you know, yung unfinished branch of their life.
Yeah.
But I thought about it as everything in life that they did. Diba?
Parang it's an entire life.
Entire life siya. Yun.
And then something reminded me. Kasi years ago, I made one too. My own tree of life. I had completely forgotten about it. Maybe because life got busy. Andyan ang work, raising Brian, paying the bills. Haven and I were building a future. You know what? You get so busy living life that you forget the dreams you started with. Pero when I looked at my tree, I saw many of the same things my parents wanted. Not exactly the same, pero close. A loving family, stability, meaningful work, time with the people we love. And that's when I realized, maybe we become more like our parents than we think. Not because ginagaya natin ang buhay nila, di ba? But because we inherit their values. Yung priorities nila, their hopes, the things they quietly taught us without even saying a word. And maybe that's one of the greatest gifts parents give their children. Hindi pera, not possessions, but a way of looking at life. And then I started thinking about Brian. The next generation, the next tree. He's at a different stage of life now. Different dreams, syempre different challenges, different branches waiting to grow. And maybe that's how life works. One generation plants a tree, the next generation adds branches, and the story keeps going. Now, looking at my parents' tree of life, na-realize ko na hindi pala ito tungkol sa mga branches. Hindi ito tungkol sa pag-check off ng bawat pangarap o pagsigurado na lahat ng plano ay natupad. Because life doesn't really work that way. What mattered was they had something worth growing toward. Something worth working for, something worth praying for, something worth believing in. My parents planted theirs, and without even realizing it, marami sa mga pangarap at values na yon napunta rin sa sarili kong tree. And now, Brian is beginning his. Different dreams, different branches, different possibilities. But maybe the same roots. Some of the branches are complete. Some branches are still growing. And maybe that's exactly how it's supposed to be.